What do you think are the most pressing problems or major issues facing Mesquite in the short term and the long term?
In the short term, we're spending our rainy day fund. We've had to tap into that for the last 2 years because of the board budget shortfalls. So the budget has got to get looked at with a fine-tooth comb. We've got to prioritize. We've got to have police and fire. We've got to have the gotta-haves. But there's a lot of like-to-haves that we're probably going to have to do without.
Any
at
specifics?
Least in the short term.
Off the top of your head, any specifics?
Off the top of my head, it's costing a ton to operate the rec center. And this is where you get in trouble, and this is where I don't mind getting in trouble, because I got to tell you how I think. If I don't, I'm not being true to myself. I'm not being true to the people I want to serve.
Okay.
The rec center has about a $600,000 shortfall. We got to look through that and see where we can save money, and we're probably going to have to raise rates. It's too cheap. Nowhere in the private sector can you buy the services you get over there.
Okay.
For the kind of money that we're paying. So we have to take a look at all of that. A lot of the volunteers in the arts centers and all those kinds of things, we've got that stuff built. But the people who are responsible for it, for instance, the new Veterans Center, those guys have got to take care of it. We can't afford to pay people to take care of it.
Okay.
So they've got it and they need to do it. The arts center, same way. Any of those things that are going along in that direction, the same way.
Okay. Any long-term pressing problems?
We have to find a better economic base. I think retirement is one of our huge things that we can do here. We've got a wonderful, wonderful climate for people to come here. I think we bit off a little more than we could chew. This is not going to be Palm Springs.
Okay.
Not in my lifetime, that's for dang sure. And hopefully it's going to be much longer than it might appear it is. But retirement is a huge, wonderful thing. Those folks, but here's the deal. We are not going to get people here if they can't sell their house in Minnesota. And if they priced their homes in Minnesota to the point where where starter people, a young couple can't afford a house, then they're in deep trouble there. So we've got a lot of stuff that's got to shake out of this economy before that happens. But I would look really hard at retirement, simply because that's one of our biggest assets.
Okay. The Code of Conduct for elected officials provides council members with an expectation of how they are to interact with citizens during council meetings. Mm-hmm. Do you agree or disagree with the guidelines, and would you work towards any changes?
I read quite a bit on the guidelines, and there are some things that chafe my strut. I want to pride myself on being a person that will tell you what I think when you ask me. Civilly, calmly. I expect that from anybody. I won't tolerate it from anybody else, and I won't do it to people. So as long as there's a civil discourse, I think we need to continue, and I think we need to have honest discussion as much as is possible.
Is that during council meetings?
Council and anywhere else. And another thing that I've seen happen on those council meetings, I am not a big fan of long meetings. I am not doing this because I want to sit up there for a good long time. I'm doing this because my wife said, if you're going to keep bitching, you better do something about it. So either run or shut up.
Okay.
So if I lose, I still get to bitch, but I don't, you see?
Okay.
But I don't like sitting in interminable meetings. And I've seen some council people that think they have to comment on every single thing that goes down the pike. So, you know, if you got something to say, say it. If you don't, shut up. Let's go home.
Okay. Do you favor the City Council's current practice of using technical review meetings for agenda items before council meetings?
If they're open to the public. As long as you're doing everything in daylight, I have no problem with that. There's the sunrise law, sunshine, anyway, where you're
sunshine law.
Yeah, you're not supposed to talk to. That's pretty tough to do, because you're going to think of something and call Councilman so and so and say, "What about this? Is nonsense. We got to look at." That's technically a violation. I think it has to be 3, but actually it could be 2. I think any business that's done by the council should be wide open to the public. You don't necessarily have to allow comment, because you have business thing that you got to do. And one of the biggest ones is negotiations with our unions, negotiations with personnel problems. I know if there's personal stuff, there's a problem there, but the more stuff that you can do in daylight, the better I'd like it. I do not like secrecy in government. And I don't like discovering stuff when suddenly it comes up for a vote. That's happened to me about 3 times on big things, and I think I'm pretty well informed. and I discovered that I never heard of this, and here it is getting voted on, and it's millions of dollars. The airport is the big thing I'm thinking about right now.
Can you elaborate on that a
Yeah.
little bit more?
We're spending that. Anybody that thinks we're going to get an airport up there on Mormon Mesa is dreaming. Is dreaming.
Okay.
We got to face some realities here. They just built a huge, nice new regional airport up in St. George.
Okay.
The federal, unless we've got the money to build it ourselves, or if some private contractor comes in and says, "I've got $200 million. I want to build this airport for you guys to help me get the land," there may be some place for us to go. But to be spending the amount of money, another budget item we've got this year, $300,000 for an environmental impact statement on a project that is never going to get funded at the federal level, therefore is never going to happen. So
Okay.
why are we throwing this money away like that? That was one of the issues that came up, got voted done. I never heard about it till it was a done deal. And it shocked me.
Interesting. Thank you. Do you feel you have adequate time to devote to the job of city council?
Yes, I do. It's interesting because my practice, I'm getting old enough where I can tend to be a little cantankerous. I don't look for every single patient I can treat or every single thing that I can do. Do I love helping people? Absolutely. But do I take the people that aggravate me anymore? No, I don't.
I guess that's one of the perks of being in business for
It's
yourself.
one of the perks of having no hair, and that you have is gray. Because you can, but the other thing is what I do is not work. I love what I do. I love my patients. This actually is my vocation, is healer and teacher. And it's fun. But guess what? I can do healer teacher in 5 or 6 hours a day. That leaves me a whole bunch of other time where I should be working out or something else, but I'm
Okay.
willing to go do council stuff instead.
Okay. Well, thank you very much, Leo. We appreciate your time, and good luck in the upcoming election.
Thank you, Barb.